Between pacifism and Cold War, the UN organised that year in Stockholm an Earth Summit, the first of that name. Delegates from about 100 countries debated pollution.
There was this bigger ecology issue that we wanted to address.
One of our objectives, probably one of our main objectives in that time, was to make environment an issue.
We wanted to do something large on a grand scale that the whole world could see and to start an ecology movement. And so this is why we ended up deciding to do the whale campaign.
Bob, in particular, saw it as a huge opportunity for what he calls the mind bomb.
The whales could be a symbol for ecology and for wilderness.
Since the 19th century, whales had been mercilessly slaughtered. In spite of repeated appeals for a moratorium on hunting, the whaling nations, led by Japan, Russia, Iceland and Norway, continued the massacre and killed up to 100,000 whales each year. A subscription provided funding for the expedition, and the Phyllis Cormac set sail again, this time with thousands of people to see it off.
All the Greenpeace is a-sailing, they're crazy as hell. They'd be riding the big ocean in a hollowed-out shell. They'll probably get seasick, or they'll probably go blind. They're probably on drugs, or at least out of their minds. But what is a whale but a
Greenpeace wasn't yet a well-known organisation, but the crew was already becoming international.
We have two things. One of them is that we'd like to point out to everybody that we're not just a Canadian boat with a Canadian crew, that we are in fact an international crew flying under a United Nations flag. And we have people here from all over the world who can speak a bunch of different languages. And one of the languages we're learning to speak here is whale.
It took 2 months of hunting before the Soviet whaling ships were finally spotted. There were 3 ships in the fleet, 1 factory ship and 2 harpoon ships. It was time to launch the inflatable Zodiacs. The Zodiac, a new ingredient, completed the Greenpeace method.
It's a floating slaughterhouse for whales. Terrible, it's stench, it's horrible. There's a big pipe coming out of the side of this boat. Blood is just pouring out of this pipe. And the smell, you can smell it from a long way away. It looked like a death scene.
Greenpeace's idea was simple: to get between the whale and the harpooner to prevent the latter from firing.
Yeah, every time the harpooner got to go a shot, I would maneuver the boat to block him. And this was working really good, and I looked at Bob and I said, this is great and everything. And then the captain on the Russian whaling boat came down the catwalk and he screamed into the ear of the harpooner. Then he looked at us and he went like that.
And I'm thinking he's not going to shoot, but I can see he's turning the harpoon like this. And it looks to me like maybe he's going to do it, he's going to do it. And it does. Boom, we hear the explosion. And there's this cable attached, and the cable comes right down beside their boat. It could have killed them, easily killed them. We were telling the story for the world media. Well, we had to have the photographs, we had to have the images on film. Because if we just went back and told the story, it wasn't good enough.
A boat in front of a harpoon to save a whale. And that simple image just declared, you know, in a single shot, you got it. And, you know, are you with the harpooner? Are you with the whale? Which side are you on? And it drew a black and white line between two possibilities, and it forced you to choose. Bringing people to the scene of the crime and then confronting them with a choice. What do you want to do with this? What's your opinion? That issue became a metaphor for what we were asking people to do. I'm asking you to take action. I'm asking you to take a stand. I'm asking you to make a moral choice between right and wrong and do something about it.
The Greenpeace method would demonstrate its effectiveness with seal cubs. Hundreds of thousands of these whitecoats, as they're called in Canada, were being killed each year for their fur when Greenpeace decided to start campaigning in 1976.
There were other people talking about ecology before Greenpeace, but with Greenpeace, the growth of ecology took off.
The helicopter and the clothing demonstrate the change in status. The whale campaign had generated an influx of donations. Greenpeace had money. Greenpeace could hit hard. The pictures were a condemnation in themselves. The shots of blood-stained ice went around the world, putting a stop to fur imports. Greenpeace was gaining international renown. Brigitte Bardot, a world-famous star at the time, came to support her Greenpeace family.
I am the same family. You want me like your sister?
Orange overalls were now in fashion.
We brought attention to ecology, but we also brought attention to ourselves. And so now Greenpeace was famous. The main difficulty we had is that Greenpeace groups began to spring up everywhere all over the world.
We'd get a letter with a stamp on it saying, "Greetings from Greenpeace Boston." And everybody would go, "Hey, yeah, we got Greenpeace in Boston." So it was growth, and it was growth like mushrooms after the rain.
It was a mess, let's be honest. It was somewhat inevitable because it was a time of absolutely extraordinary creativity.